Elsabeth's sneakers touched down on a rock with a dry clap. Waiting a moment for Raleigh to come up behind her, she surveyed the room with a lighter. It was twice as wide as the cabin above, with long benches along the wall, not completely dissimilar to the anteroom of House 39. These were filthy, though, covered in sickly brown clay, black earth, and red smears she couldn't identify. Not blood, she knew, because blood dries brown. The benches reminded her of subway toilets. Boot prints crisscrossed the rock floor, leading to and from an opening at the southern tip of the room. Lots of boot prints. This is where the Perihelions work each day, she thought, though she had no real proof of it. It felt right, much like House 38 felt wrong.
Oh, fuck.
Blew your big intro.
Fuck. I was already muted when I started doing the intro. Well, welcome back to Visited by Voices, guys. We're in week 4 of the Readers Roundtable for Divide by Zero. I seriously think Lauren did that on purpose just because his ass is always muted every time we start. Oh my god. Anyway. So, welcome back. We are going to be covering pages 190 to 244 in Divide by Zero this week. And welcome back to the show, Dan Shine. I'm so sorry about your stomach issues from last week.
Back to normal. So, yeah, sorry I missed it, though, because the book is getting really, really good. So I figured kind of where you guys were, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, me too. This section gave me an anxiety attack at the end. Oh, it was great. And also, Jeff the intern is back. Thanks for coming, Jeff.
Good to be back. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Oh, my goodness. So, looking at it from the big picture, what did you guys think for the 190 to 244? Because it gets kind of wild. It gets ramped up really quickly.
This is probably my favorite chunk of the book, honestly. Just the not to get too ahead of things, but I love the twist isn't the right word, but the shift tonally as you get into what is below, right? Like what the Perihelions are up to, or at least the first kind of vision into that. And it's just a really fun dive into the uncanny and just really well executed. Like it's just fun as hell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just keeps escalating at this point, page to page. I mean, we have the Lauren's face-off moment, and I was like, oh, wow. The violence really escalates.
Yeah, the old facial degloving.
Yeah, and that's exactly, like, that starts off the section, which was like, okay, we serious about this. So
but that's not even the worst thing that happens in this section, not by a long shot.
I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about the end of this section, like the face-off part was a little intense, but it wasn't what gave me the anxiety attack. So you probably are correct, Jeff.
Yeah, eye stuff gets me.
Yeah, eye stuff is always cringy. Like, also if you're putting any teeth stuff in there, yeah, that's always gonna make me squirm.
Lauren tackles Fulci.
Yeah, and we start off basically like popping into a sermon that the Reverend Maxwell Kant is giving in his megachurch. Although it seems like it's not quote unquote like a megachurch, but it does seem like that building has been renovated to be more of one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the different lighting and whatnot.
Definite
and
vibes.
You know, he mentions that he and his wife, or that his wife was actually the one controlling the lights at some point. So I'm guessing that was way back before he found, you know, his fame somehow. I wonder what that backstory is like. I wonder if it's like a Jim and Tammy Faye thing.
You know, it's filthy as hell.
Kind of
Like,
pictured him as Joel Osteen. I don't know. In my head, I wanted to see maybe him get degloved.
I still feel like he's too old to be like a Joel Osteen type, you know? Because it's like, I get that he's getting on in years, and maybe he does have the same amount of fake teeth. But I wonder if we're ever going to get to the point in society where it's like, rather than just regular fake teeth, we have to have like extra fake teeth, like where they're doing with AI now. How it's like all those AI generated images just produce like extra teeth and extremely long fingers. And then at some point, that's going to become the new fashion. Is like you have to get extra teeth put into your mouth. So, anyway, so his kids, Ben and Ellie, show back up, apropos of nothing. And I was thinking, okay, maybe we'll have like a nice little reunion. They've been in Perihelion for a while. But no. Ellie just basically tases him and then cuts off this motherfucker's face.
On live TV.
Huh?
On live TV.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're gonna do that, you should do it on live TV for the ratings. Like, you're going to get a lot of attention.
Oh, it's like cutting your hair in a movie, though. You only get one take.
I think if you've already read this, you should go back, read it a second time, and just play the Family Matters theme song over that scene. Be perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe just try overlaying a bunch of different sitcom themes. Like, I could maybe also Full House, not Fuller House.
I'm just picturing the Olsen twins just cutting Bob Saget's face off. That's pretty. That's pretty canon, scary.
Actually.
Got really edgy since it went to screaming. Wow.
You got to keep throwing shit in the wall and see what sticks.
It's part of the gritty reboot.
I mean, I think after you've tased your father into paralysis and then cut off his face, pulled his face off, you probably don't need to also shoot him through the head several times. Maybe overkill. But I'm wondering, is this what happens to everybody that leaves Perihelion? Is that why nobody comes back? I don't know. So, but I'm sure it's just normal kid stuff, right?
Growing pains, Just keep with the sitcom puns for the rest of this episode.
Yeah. So then we move back into Perihelion, and Kelsebeth is sneaking out of House 39, and we get a little bit of a flashback to when she was doing that when she was a teenager, and basically identifying when her dad and uncle would not really notice that happening. Something that I really liked here was her talking about any bit of normalcy feeling weird, because it does. It doesn't fit at all, because essentially this is a cult that only has one rule, and it's, hey, don't fuck with the old house, right? Don't go in there or anything like that. And it's very Garden of Eden-esque, right? Hey, don't eat from that fucking tree. I'm going to eat from that fucking tree. Because, Jamie's out there having a cigarette when she's sneaking out, so clearly they don't care about that. They have wine with dinner every night, so substances aren't an issue, I suppose.
No, there's certain things they're not really sticklers for. It's not as miserable there as you would expect it to be, maybe at the beginning of the story. Certain cult stuff that you would expect to be going on. Not really at this point.
Yeah, and
right. Less overtly controlling in some ways, which is its own kind of red flag.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, how do you give a cult a red flag? Oh, well, you have a lot of autonomy here. What? And I guess that the people arriving there, they don't really expect that they're going to a cult. They're going to, hey, this seems like utopia for them. So that does kind of line up in a lot of ways, and it is a good way to earn their trust.
Right. I like that in this chapter, Jamie is jealous as well when she runs into her smoking outside beforehand.
Jamie, I'm sure there are plenty of guys that look just like Ren or approximations of them.
Who do you have in your head is Ren? Like, it's kind of an unusual character. I couldn't quite place an actor in my head. It could be a lot of different people.
Oh yeah, it could just be like it could be a rando. It wouldn't even really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also really love the fact that Raleigh's bitch face is never resting. It's always wide awake, and I was like, girl thing.
I wrote that one down
Get it.
too.
For real. So I believe this is the part where they're all meeting around the covered bridge.
Mhm.
And then Neil is going to be in charge of jacking a car after the smash and grab and just, meet them back, right? And then Raleigh's going to be backing up Kelsabeth in the old house, just in case, they need to subdue anybody. And then Green is going to be like the muscle to, intercept anybody who's trying to get to the old house. Nobody seems really that happy with their assignments. Raleigh's not really, it's not really touched on Raleigh, but Neil and Green both seem a little bit disappointed, like they were expecting something more. And Neil is kind of like, he's an older dude. He wants to get some of that excitement back in his life. Green, it's not really that big of a deal to him because he's just cool with spending time with Kelsabeth.
We compare this to the Hayden's Court job. It seems kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, right? For this group that just pulled off, or I guess not specifically this group, but a group that pulls off jobs like the Hayden's Court job.
Oh, yeah.
Going into a house of hippies or a commune of hippies, quote unquote, and getting a phone out of a drawer. I mean, what's the big deal?
I know. Yeah, it's, again, like I keep hearing Raleigh talking about, oh, so it's a smash and grab every time. And it doesn't seem like it's that complicated. But, of course, things always go tits up.
Right.
Yeah. And so they can't find the artifact. Wait. We're going to get into spoilers again. So they can't find the artifact, and they have to tear apart that cabin trying to find it. But, of course, there's a trap door underneath the rug and the floorboards. And I was just thinking, like, it was very much like Evil Dead, like I'm waiting for Virgil Meadowlark to come out, like, and then they follow those stairs down, which, I don't know. I mean, I guess, like, if you've got to try and find this fossilized cell phone, that's the best lead that you've got. And then it just goes, like, I was not expecting any of this. Like, okay, I'm going to be like, yep, big spoilers. I was not expecting any of this shit. Holy fuck. There's an entire damn fossilized town underneath it. And I was like, oh shit, as above, so below. Oh, alchemy, hooray. I was so excited.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully you've read some of the book at this point, but certainly where you start is not where you expect you'll end up at this point. I didn't think we were, journey to the center of the earth kind of territory with the book, which I thought was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, what was your reaction to reading this?
I loved it because reading through the first time, the phone kind of struck me. I was like, weird. I was like, why is this a MacGuffin? Like that, it's bizarre, but what's the significance? So the payoff of it just being the faintest suggestion of what's what is going on down below is awesome. Love it. But then the exploration of that area and getting to see what they've been excavating, and how it tapers down into a tunnel, which getting a little bit ahead of it. But just really well executed, right? It's creepy, it's gross, claustrophobic. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was just like, all I could think of is like, okay, well, clearly the fossilized cell phone can't be the artifact, but it's like, how are you guys going to take an entire town back up there? You can't. So,
Right.
and I have no idea I have no idea where this is heading now, because I'm just like, okay, well, as above, so below, but is there something above what their above is, which, hey, is just perihelion on Earth? Is there something above that also that's mirroring it? So I'm very excited because I love any incorporation of alchemy into any stories whatsoever.
It's still going to blow your mind. It's not
Yeah.
the last trick in the book.
Well, I noticed in this section there were a lot of callbacks to other parts of the book itself, like when Kelsabeth has to go through the tunnel that's down here. The tunnel in this case is mirroring the covered bridge above them. So she's going through this tunnel. It's getting a little bit smaller and it's getting progressively colder. And I just thought back to Wells being stuck in that crawl space in the Hayden's Court job. And then also with Green, he's talking about not wanting to be left with the brick in his hand. And I'm like, is he talking about, are we talking about is he going to be holding the fossilized cell phone at some point? So I love the fact that it's kind of like wrapping in on itself. And also like it's referencing and wrapping in on itself. And I'm so excited about that. So after that, we're getting into the next section, which is kind of a little bit of backstory about Green and his initial arrival at the airport, which I'm like, okay, I actually would blame Chidima for this, because like he is on the exact same flight day and time as the person that he's supposed to be impersonating, Miles Conrad. So then he's got to improvise pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, somebody wasn't keeping up their part on the back end there, because I mean, like, unless maybe the Perihelions already knew that and they're trying to throw like a monkey wrench into the works.
This almost felt like the Benny Hill moment of the book, right? It's a little bit of comedy of errors, and it's not written for laughs per se, but there is definitely like a lightening of the mood in it, right? Like Green just can't catch a break. He can't even pronounce perihelion.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, this section like made me such a big Green fan though, because he is just he's just committed to pretending that he is one of the perihelions to go and abscond with the actual Miles Conrad. But what he's doing is he's going to drop this dude off in like a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Live off the land.
Yeah, live off the land. And essentially it's like part of a test. It's his truing. Part of his truing, maybe. And I love this because like the actual Miles Conrad is buying into it so hard. And I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, man, Green is so committed. Like, I feel like I was like, man, Kelsey Beth doesn't give Green enough credit. Seriously. He's like, he wasn't even her first choice. He didn't prepare for this. He's got this. He's totally fine.
Well, it shows they prey on suckers too, right? Like, Miles Conrad is so eager to believe, right? Green doesn't even need to be so effective at selling it. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't even pronounce it right, but it's like, oh, maybe that's part of the test.
Right.
You wouldn't know. Oh man, I really loved it because I feel like Green was just going into like extreme customer service mode, which, maybe you probably like, unless you've worked any sort of service job, it's like sometimes you have those people that are so fucking stupid that you just, you just can't even, you can't even really put on the face, and you just have to kind of, I guess, explain to the best of your ability. But this dude's just eating it up. It is wild. So, I mean, that does give him a good reason as far as to why he was late to Perihelion.
Yes, and then I still want to call him Nihal. Neil's eye reveal, which is
Dude,
I wanted to get back to that so fast.
I was taking notes, intermittently with each chapter, right? And I was like in caps, "Oh no, they got Neil." I was like, "Fuck."
What a fun way to refer to it too, is like a kind of something to keep bringing back up, is just the eye thing. You do a good job establishing it up front, and then you can refer back to it as much as you want, like efficiently. Just a fun little flourish, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it makes it a lot easier to figure out. Oh, is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more complicated, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So at this point, we kind of get a little bit off page, where Neil goes and takes out Green, which we'll come to later. And Kelsabeth and Raleigh are still down in the below. And Kelsabeth has to go through that tunnel that's going to be essentially the covered bridge at some point. And one of the things that was blowing my mind was, it's like, well, how did they pattern the town after what was below if they hadn't already excavated the below? So I love that part. Because the whole like as above so below thing is also kind of like the basis of the Jungian synchronicity, which it's like the macrocosm reflecting the microcosm, or vice versa. I can't remember which exactly. But it's like, I wonder if it's like the more they excavate below, the more that becomes real above. But the thing is, there's already a covered bridge above. So it's like, if they continue excavating below and continue carving out that tunnel, is that just going to appear as the covered bridge above? So I don't know. And then they also find like the old house that's in the below, since everything has to mirror what's on the surface. And I was thinking, holy shit, what if there has to be another trapdoor then, right? There's got to be another trapdoor to lead further in. What if this is just like, a mirror facing a mirror, and we just get all of these copies? Man, you guys are just like not letting on anything, so I haven't finished the fucking book.
I'm trying not to get ahead of where you're at.
I'll say this. You will have answers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. This isn't just like a weird what's in the box, or, what's in the mystery box kind of fun mystery that doesn't pay off. So, yeah, we'll get there.
He doesn't pull a Lost on you.
Right.
You get definitive answers to your questions. So.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure. And then, they find out that, oh, hey, found Virgil Meadowlark. Oh, he's just chilling in his rocking chair. Oh, it's his burnt corpse. Ew. Which I'm wondering if it was, I mean, I could be wrong, but I wonder if it was also perhaps self-immolation. That does tend to be a more religious way of dying.
It was clear he wasn't enjoying it.
Who does?
I like Pompeii was how it was described. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was picturing in my head.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The visual of below is fascinating to me.
Yeah, and like that. That is as soon as Lauren started describing the below, I was like, oh my god, no wonder everything above looks the same. It's just this.
And when we find Virgil, there, speaking of callbacks, right? They talk, or Kelsabeth remembers the orientation speech as they're getting the tour going in, and Virgil was born on this very patio in this chair. I don't know, it's cool. Again, circular, right? It's all feeding on itself.
Oh yeah, and then it's like he also died there, and they found exactly where he died. It just wasn't above ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, I wonder if this was part of a ritual of some kind. I wonder if this was. I feel like the town wouldn't have carried this out unless it was by Virgil Meadowlark's wish, right? But at the same time, he also kind of like the description kind of seems like he was surprised he got immolated. So again, no idea. But he's holding the fossilized cell phone, and Kelsebeth grabs it. But at this point, I'm like thinking to myself, "Bitch, the entire town is a fossil. Why is it just this thing?"
My first thought was Lauren's going to turn this into the darkest Weekend at Bernie's sequel. We were just going to have Virgil just on a beach somewhere, and Seagull steals the phone.
Weekend of Virgils. Yeah. And then it's just with Kelsebeth and Raleigh instead.
There you go. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
You get the gender switch for the reboot. Boom.
Yeah, gotta have it. Gotta keep it timely. The more I think the more that I read with Raleigh in it, the more I'm thinking like, I'm getting Jenna Ortega vibes. It's the Scream mind virus. I am sorry, everybody.
I don't think she's bad, but I'm just gonna say this now. I don't quite get the obsession. I like her, but
no, she's fine.
She hasn't done anything extraordinary yet. I don't know, just me.
No, it's just I think it's just the frequency with which we see her in any genre movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no Jenna Ortega in the Divide by Zero film adaptation. I want to get a little more clever with it.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It can't. You can't fight it. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get Jenna Ortega as Raleigh, and that's the way it is. I don't know.
It's gonna kill Lauren, Nicole Kidman, Kelsebeth.
Oh.
It'll just be torture casting.
Who else would we torture cast though? So we've got Nicole Kidman as Kelsebeth, of course, and then we've got Jenna Ortega.
He gets like one-on-one times. Like I need to speak to the author so I can get inside Kelsebeth's head. I just want that awkward, like Lauren's got to sit with her and explain.
I would love to be a fly on the wall. I feel like Lauren would not be able to stop looking at her non-moving forehead from all the Botox. Just frozen there.
I've pierced my nipples just for this role, Lauren.
And then Lauren would correct her and say, "They're supposed to be tattoos, not piercings."
I will tattoo my nipples just for this film, Lauren.
Oh my God, I know. So at this point,
I was going to say, what about Mia Goth? Would she make a good, not
a good what?
Raleigh?
I could see that. I definitely could. Because she, I don't, she wouldn't be old enough to play Kelsebeth.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see as Raleigh.
Be a good role for her. Yeah, a little different, but I can see her pulling it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would be. Yeah, that wouldn't be a big stretch at all. So who are we who are we giving the Johnny Depp role to? Because obviously, if we're torture casting, Johnny Depp is involved.
Could make him Virgil. You get to see his old petrified body.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind, pretending that Johnny Depp would have been actually immolated, and his corpse is just sitting on the porch. I'd be fine with that. All right. Well, before Lauren ends this stream because we keep recording this.
We're putting it out in the world, in the universe now. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. So, Kelsebeth's coming through with that fossilized cell phone and having to go back through that same tunnel also. But she automatically realizes that trouble is afoot when she sees the look on Raleigh's face. And, well, I mean, there's like about 150 perihelions. And it's a town of about 600 probably, based on what we saw in the earlier dinner scene when everyone's gathered there. I wonder if there is a difference between the ones sent to, I guess, squash this versus just like your average run-of-the-mill perihelion. Like, is Jamie somewhere in there? I don't really think so. Also, what percentage of all the perihelions down in this cave are actually consulmen? Because we don't really have a good count on how many there are.
Yeah, that's true. I think in general, 600 was like the best guess at some point in the book, but
yeah,
it's unclear.
Yeah. You know, and they tend to do a fine job of fending them off for a little bit. At least Kelsebeth does. And, you know, Raleigh also does a bit of scrapping on her own. You know, and Kelsebeth also, you know, is reminded about how fast that Raleigh is. So I wonder if there's going to be a point in this where Raleigh's making a break for it. And she's able to do a good amount of outrunning some of these perihelions because, again, they all have lazy eyes. They can't be that coordinated.
Just gotta
always dodge left.
I know. It's just like throw something off to the side and watch him go for it. Yeah. You know, but it's like, I'm sure Raleigh's been in her share of bar fights over the years. And we get a little bit of backstory about, not necessarily, like, you know, apparently she bailed on a job, but she's not wanting to leave Kelsebeth because she wants to follow something through for once. Which, you know, that's admirable. And, you know, even though Kelsebeth has been like, hey, no, your debt to me is paid.
Yeah, very action-packed fight scene there. This is definitely, I don't know, I feel if Hollywood looked at his work, I can kind of see this as the big summer blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. I'd probably position it not really in the middle of the summer blockbusters, but I'd probably position it as like a spring release, you know, kind of like at the foot in the door before all your Transformers or your other nonsense comes out. Because then at least you can get some eyes on it. And I mean, let's see. So they're fighting these perihelions, and Kelsebeth gets a really good shot out at Lee Baldwin, who was in the church, who we hadn't seen for a while. It'd been probably a couple sections.
Yeah.
And, you know, she goes and she stabs him in the throat with a goddamn fork, with like a fucking savage, and which is great. But this dude is determined, you know, like he just, you know, he's basically doing the thing where you put your finger, you know, in a leak and just being like, boop, but with his neck.
Yeah. The Vader Sid Vicious moment.
Oh, God. Dude. And he's still managing to speak as well. So, yeah, that was rowdy as fuck. And I hear a cat crying outside my door, but I'm going to ignore it for now. No, I can't ignore it. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Gonna have a tantrum pretty quick.
I know the babies are gonna be upset if I don't let them in. It is the way it is. Yes, baby, I know. So they're getting into the scrap, and then all of a sudden we see Neil dragging the body of Green. And I was like, fucking betrayal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not surprising given his eye. And then I love the fact where it's like Green's trying to talk about his head being broke, and I'm like, I get it, man. We've all been there. But it comes out as Mahad Poke, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was, yeah, and it's, it's definitely there's definite concussive trauma there, I'm sure. But he's also got just blood coming out of his nose and out of his mouth, and I'm like, ugh. So, of course, Kelsebeth, because she does have a soul, she is basically like, yeah, I'm not going to leave you here, man. And she surrenders to the Parahelions. Meanwhile, Raleigh's like, I'm gonna sing this church song and fuck off and hide in the tunnel, which it's
yep. She nopes right out.
yes, she did nope right out. And she's just kind of fortifying herself there, and I imagine she's probably like positioned like a cannonball in that tunnel with her knees up to her chest, because they're not probably going to be able to get her out if she's positioned quite a ways into the tunnel itself, right? And if they try to get her out, she's just going to probably kick them or fight them in some form. But at the same time, I'm also like, she going to venture further into the tunnel and into the old house. Like, what if the corpse of Virgil Meadowlark comes back to life and grabs her and drags her through it? So, I don't know.
Full zombies at the center of the earth.
Uh-huh. So, and then after that, we've got a little bit of backstory about Chidima. She gets her own little area.
Yeah, her mom. Yeah.
Yeah. And her mom's had like a really rough life. I think her parents I believe were killed in the riots in 1966. And then she also lost her husband, and she had like 4 miscarriages. And then her only child that did survive, which was Chidima, ended up getting trafficked. So yeah, it's been no good for Itoro. But we do see the fact that Kelsebeth, without asking Chidima, automatically brought her mother over from Nigeria, And then Chidima has her set up in a nice little condo in Hackensack, close enough to things that are within walking distance, There's bus stop, grocery store, all that. And so Chidima is visiting her mom, and she gets a text from Yuri, of all people, which I was like, uh-oh.
Who even knew he had a phone?
It's a flip phone. It's a flip phone with no smart features.
It might even be petrified.
I know. What if? Yeah, I know. It's like, what if all of the phones just turned out to be like connected to the fossilized cell phone? But I feel like Yuri is technologically savvy enough to at least be able to play Snake on his phone. Mm-hmm. But he's not technologically savvy enough to not text in all caps. Like, it kind of reminded me of when I tried to teach my dad how to text. And this was years ago. But the first text he sent me was like, there was no spaces. And it was just like, happy 4th of July, love, Dad. I was like, oh my God.
In fairness, it was a lot harder at that point. Took me a while. It took me a while to adjust to those phones. So.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not just an old man thing.
I don't know. I'm an old woman. I have old woman issues with cell phones. Like, I don't want to do predictive text. Like, let me, when I had a cell phone where that was text capable, but not like a smartphone, it would just be like, no, I'm just going to keep pressing the button until I get the letter I need. I don't want to do T9 or whatever that is. That sounds ridiculous. But yeah, it's like his text is in all caps and is like, turn on the news now. Which, of course, she does. And it's all about Reverend Kant getting murdered in front of however many people. So, also, I like how it's like tastefully being covered on the news networks, where it's just 1961 to 2020. So it's like, are we not going to talk about this? Are we not going to talk about this motherfucker getting his face cut off?
It's a fun scene to sort of envision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the church ladies tuning in and just wow.
I know. It's like, at what point do you cut the feed? Like, what if it's simulcast on things like YouTube or Twitch or stuff like that? So.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Why is our producer here? That's
Yeah,
weird.
I'm not supposed to be.
No, you're not. Nobody saw
The
that.
hate casting is starting to get to him.
He's just having just day terrors of Nicole Kidman in that AMC.
Listen, if she can play a Viking,
There you go.
Good. Tried. Yeah, so of course it's like after, Chidima gets that text from Yuri, it's like, okay, we have to mobilize. We have to go save Kelsebeth. Because shit's up, because the Perihelions actually do know who she is.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wondering, it's like, I don't feel like it came, like the information was like, came from Kant, but I feel like it probably came from Senator Sheehan, or Governor Sheehan, excuse me. I could be completely off. I am a little bummed that we didn't get to see more about Ben and Ellie, though. Because it's just kind of like, hey, they're in Perihelion. Oh, hey, they're cutting off my face now. Mm-hmm. So, and then we finish off this section with the thing that gave me the anxiety attack, which, Kelsebeth and Green are in this church, and it's brought up earlier that there are these holes in the back of the church pews. And I was thinking, maybe it's just kind of like penance, right? Maybe it's more uncomfortable to sit there like that. Apparently, they routinely will zip tie people to the church pews. And they start, I guess the best way to describe this is, wait. Big spoilers. The best way to describe this is Green and Kelsebeth both get lobotomies. Would you guys say that that's...
I would say that's accurate to the description.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they...
But a little south of a lobotomy.
What would south of a lobotomy be? Like,
Do lobotomies go through the eye?
Lobotomies, are through.
Yeah.
At least that's my vision of it. Yeah, I believe it's through the eye.
Okay. So yeah, it's just actually lobotomy.
Yeah, and just kind of having to kind of parse what is involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
So they take like a very long needle and just kind of, put it right here. I'm guessing like right in the tear duct. And insert it, which already sucks, but apparently is painless until we get to the part where they use a little jeweler's hammer to kind of just tap it in.
You kind of get the impression there was more than just tapping there. It was just kind of a...
I was getting a lot of, I was wondering what exactly was happening with, maybe like sound waves and frequencies to the point where it's being felt throughout Green and Kelsebeth's body. Like there's that extreme reverberation. So, researching lobotomies is not something I typically do because it makes me but it did, this whole section is like, I don't have an eye thing as much as a teeth thing, right? Teeth shit makes me squirm worse.
Really?
This was enough to make me like have a low grade anxiety attack where I'm like very cold and shivering and unable to get warm. And it's currently 78 degrees here in Texas. So,
eye stuff gets me. Reading this, even when I was going through the beta read and putting together my notes for that, I had to be like, all right, Lauren, come on, man. Let's tone back a little bit. He didn't, which I think is good. Probably amped it up even. But like reminds me, like viscerally, there's a short story. The only other thing I've read that actually made me physically uncomfortable was the Ponunk short story, Guts.
Ooh, yeah.
What is that about?
A gentleman's unfortunate meeting with the drain at the bottom of a pool.
Ooh.
Yeah, you have to read it, I think. But again, it's like it's body horror, right? It's something that is happening to you that you can just all this like be empathic about, and messes with you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was no good. The thing what I liked about this section is like it didn't come off as just like body horror for the sake of being body horror, though. There was a reason to it. It was calculated and drawn out and suspenseful, and it does make that more palatable. But as far as the eye stuff, Jeff, you must have fucking hated this section because, like, at the beginning of it, you saw Maxwell Khan's contact get cut out of his fucking eye. It's like I'm thinking I've worn contacts. You don't have to cut out my eye. I will. You can just take it out. You just put boop. Done.
Yeah. No thanks.
I know.
I can't even watch my wife put her contacts in.
Couldn't do contacts. I had to do it for a zombie role I was playing. Couldn't get them in. Just we're gonna have to do it without this. Just I can't do it. Just the contact process alone makes me squirm.
I've got contacts stuck in my eye too. It sucks.
Yeah. See, I can do the teeth thing. I'm the opposite though. The eye thing can still make me squirm, even as a seasoned gore hound. It's like that still makes me squirm a little bit.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, every now and then, like when I couldn't get my contacts out, and this was 10 plus years ago, I only had them for wrestling training. And, when I couldn't get them out, I would always think back to those news stories about how a woman had like 27 contact lenses behind her eye. I can't do it. It's glasses all the way for me at this point.
Yeah, I'm good with glasses if I ever have to go that route. I'm not doing contacts.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, like, Kelsebeth has, the hammer hits the needle that's in her eye, lobotomizing her. And then she's gone. Literally. It's like, and then Kelsebeth was gone. And I'm like, but no, you've been here since the beginning. I'm 244 pages in, you're gone? No!
Well, if I can be permitted to go one page further, one of the best moments in the book, I think, is reading that line, Kelsebeth was gone, and then turning the page, and the next section's called The Kelsebeth Job.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
I'm excited for it because I'm imagining it's going to be like, hey, Yuri and Chidima have to work together and rescue the team. And I'm like, I can get behind this.
Right.
Did you actually stop here, Sam? I mean, have you been
did.
like, okay, so you were able to, okay.
Yeah, I sure did. I stopped, but it's definitely like the action in this section ramps up to the point where it's like, I understand why Chris couldn't stop reading. Like he stayed up way too late one night, just clearing out like, I don't know, 100 to 140 pages at a go. So, and then it's just like, at that point, you just kind of have to keep going to wrap up the book because it's like, you want to find out what happens next. And that actually like inspired Chris to like read more. And now that he's cleared out Divide by Zero, he's moved on to the Jim Varney biography, The Importance of Being Earnest.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a contrast.
Totally very different things, but I feel like it's always good if it's encouraging you to read more, right?
Jim Varney has that whole section where he just went to Jonestown. Something just it's how he created the Ernest character.
So it's not that totally different.
Shockingly similar.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're pretty much wrapped up on this section for the week, but is there anything that we didn't cover that you guys want to talk about?
I definitely at some point I think Chidima's mom and everything. I thought that's a character that doesn't have a ton of time, but very fascinating. There's a whole thing there I'd like to explore more.
Yeah, I could, I definitely want more time with Itoro and Chidima because, again, like they were separated for 6 years.
Yeah.
And that has to be really, like, that's a crushing 6 years if that's the only child that survived.
Mm.
And then she ended up being trafficked, so. Yeah.
Definitely does supporting cast well. In this book, I think, especially.
Oh, absolutely. Now I'm really just like, I'm really invested in all of the characters. I'm interested in everybody, which doesn't usually happen, so.
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying, yeah, even characters that have very little time in the book are very well developed, which is hard to do.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm still reminded of parts at the beginning with the Hayden's Court job, even with people that aren't even working on this team. But again, it's like kind of like feeling the callbacks, like with Wells and then Kelsebeth going through that tunnel and it getting progressively smaller. And I just love that. It was very fun. So next week, we are going to be covering pages 245 to 299. So it's also kind of a smaller section. I don't know that I'm going to be able to stop reading at that point. So I'll have to try and restrain myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of hard not to just finish it all at this point.
Yeah.
So you might end up cheating at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Alrighty, but before we head off for the day, do you guys have anything you would like to plug? Dan, you got shit to plug?
Flesh Wound features here on YouTube. We do all sorts of stuff. But later tonight, I will be on Stone Gassman's podcast doing a commentary for the 1998 film Dark City, one of my all-time favorites. So it's a very meaty movie. It's a lot to talk about.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. Jeff, what about you?
Nothing to plug for me, but I was thinking, not me personally anyway, but reading and kind of running through Divide by Zero. Like if you're enjoying this, get more or give more independent published books a chance, right? Like huge opportunity to dig into a whole world of horror and even other genres that need some more love, I think.
Co-signed.
So, yeah, check out other books at Fractured Mirror.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely check out also Matt Doyle. Matt Doyle's got a great book, Iluros, from Fractured Mirror. And also he's just a cool all-around guy. So yes. I know that he's also reading Divide by Zero. So I don't know. Maybe we could get him on a show, depending on, how fast he's a reader.
Yeah, you have to get him back on. He's a very good interview on this channel as well, probably about a year or so ago.
Best episode that I think we've done, no lie. It was like the funniest episode. Just getting Lauren to try to get Lauren to say "yif." Good. It was so good. All right. Well, we'll be back next week at the same Lauren time, same Lauren channel, 2 p.m. Eastern and 1 Central. So if you guys do want to be part of the conversation, you can always join in on the chat. But if you want to actually be part of the panel, I swear I won't bite, even if you ask. But you can go ahead and either DM me or Lauren on Twitter. That's usually the easiest way to get a hold of us. He is at Lauren Dixon, and I am at SheebyGeebies. Just replace the E's with 3's, or just look for me. I'm there. But until next time, hey, maybe don't get lobotomized, okay?